1. Recognize the power of perception. Every day, we're faced with situations that test our patience, challenge our emotions, and disrupt our sense of peace. Maybe someone cuts us off in traffic. A coworker says something rude, or we receive unexpected bad news. Our first instinct is often frustration, anger, or stress. But what if the real problem isn't the situation itself, but how we interpret it? According to Stoic philosophy, it's not the events that disturb us, but our judgment of them. We tend to see things not as they are, but through the lens of our beliefs, assumptions, and past experiences. This lens can distort reality and amplify negative emotions. The truth is, you have more control than you think, not over the world, but over your mind. Perception is everything. If you believe something is a disaster, it will feel like one. But if you choose to view it as a challenge or an opportunity to grow, your emotional response shifts. That same traffic jam becomes a chance to slow down, listen to a podcast, or reflect. The rude coworker becomes a reminder to practice patience and not take things personally. Recognizing the power of perception means reclaiming your mental sovereignty. It means becoming aware of the stories you tell yourself and choosing ones that serve you. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means seeing clearly and responding wisely instead of reacting impulsively. The next time something upsets you, pause and ask yourself, is this really as bad as I think it is? What else could this mean? With practice, this simple mental shift can transform your day-to-day experience. Instead of being tossed around by every inconvenience, you begin to cultivate inner stability. When you train yourself to master your perspective, you start to experience life differently. Peace becomes less dependent on external events and more rooted in your ability to manage your thoughts. That's true freedom, the kind that no one can take from you. 2. Practice voluntary discomfort. We live in an age of convenience. With just a few taps, we can order food, adjust the room temperature, or stream endless entertainment. Life has never been more comfortable, and yet, many of us are mentally and emotionally fragile when true adversity strikes. Why? Because we rarely challenge ourselves anymore. The Stoics believed that one of the most powerful ways to build strength was by deliberately stepping into discomfort. Practicing voluntary discomfort isn't about seeking pain or being extreme, it's about training your mind to remain calm and capable in the face of hardship. It's a conscious choice to do things that feel a little uncomfortable so that when life gets truly difficult, you don't fall apart. Simple practices like taking cold showers, fasting occasionally, walking long distances, or limiting your use of social media can develop inner resilience. These small acts may seem trivial, but they teach you something vital: you are stronger than you think. When you choose to go without comfort, even briefly, you begin to break the illusion that you need constant ease to function. You discover that discomfort is not the enemy, it's a teacher. A cold shower in the morning becomes more than just a shock to the system, it becomes a mental win. Fasting becomes more than just going without food, it's a reminder that hunger is not an emergency and that self-control is empowering. Voluntary discomfort also builds gratitude. When you intentionally step back from luxury, you begin to appreciate the simple things you once took for granted. Warm food, a soft bed, a moment of silence, these become treasures, not expectations. And as your appreciation grows, so does your emotional stability. When true adversity comes, because it always does, you'll find yourself more prepared, more grounded, and less shaken. Life won't feel as threatening because you've already tested your limits. You'll know discomfort doesn't have to defeat you, it can strengthen you. In a world obsessed with ease, choosing discomfort is a radical act of self-mastery. It's not about punishing yourself, it's about building a core of unshakable strength. The Stoics weren't tough for the sake of being tough, they were prepared for anything. And with practice, so can you be. 3. Develop an attitude of gratitude. In a fast-paced world driven by ambition and comparison, it's easy to focus on what we don't have. We chase bigger goals, better possessions, and constant validation, often overlooking the countless blessings already present in our lives. This constant striving can leave us feeling anxious, empty, and unsatisfied. But the Stoics understood a timeless truth: if you want peace, start by practicing gratitude. Gratitude isn't just about saying, "thank you." It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world that turns ordinary moments into meaningful ones. When you learn to appreciate what you already have, your whole outlook shifts. Suddenly, the small things, a warm meal, a kind word, a sunrise, become sources of deep contentment. Practicing gratitude helps retrain your mind to focus on abundance rather than lack. It's easy to dwell on what's missing, what went wrong, or what could be better. But by intentionally directing your attention toward what's going right, you begin to see that your life is richer than you realized. One of the most powerful ways to build gratitude is through daily reflection. Take a few minutes each day to write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be big, just sincere. Over time, this practice rewires your brain, making gratitude your default state rather than an occasional feeling. Gratitude also transforms your relationships. When you start appreciating the people in your life, acknowledging their efforts, recognizing their kindness, and simply being present with them, you create stronger, more meaningful connections. A simple thank you or a moment of genuine recognition can go further than you think. Importantly, real gratitude isn't only for the good times. It's also about finding meaning in life's difficulties. Even during pain or hardship, there's often something to be learned, a hidden blessing to be found. The Stoics believe that everything, even suffering, has value if you meet it with the right mindset. When you live with gratitude, you stop waiting for happiness to arrive. You realize it's already here, in the quiet moments, the simple joys, and the relationships that matter most. Gratitude won't solve every problem, but it will make your problems feel less overwhelming. It grounds you, calms your mind, and brings you back to what truly matters. 4. Accept and embrace change. Change is one of life's only certainties, and yet, it's something most of us resist. We crave stability and predictability, clinging tightly to routines, relationships, and expectations. But no matter how hard we try to control the future, change always finds a way in, through a job shift, a breakup, a loss, or an unexpected opportunity. The Stoics understood that fighting change only leads to suffering. True peace comes from learning to flow with it. Accepting change isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about understanding that life moves in cycles, seasons come and go, people grow and evolve, circumstances rise and fall. When we stop clinging to how things should be and start embracing what is, we free ourselves from constant disappointment. Think back to a time when something unexpected disrupted your life. Maybe it was painful at first, but did it lead to growth or a new path you hadn't considered? Often, change is the doorway to transformation. We just don't recognize it until we're on the other side. One powerful Stoic practice is to loosen your attachment to specific outcomes. Set goals, yes, but be flexible with how they unfold. Life rarely goes according to plan, and trying to control every detail sets you up for stress. Instead, adopt a mindset of curiosity: what can I learn from this, or how might this be working in my favor? Mindfulness can also help you stay grounded during transitions. When you focus on the present moment, rather than obsessing over the past or fearing the future, you create space to breathe and respond with clarity. The chaos might still be there, but your reaction becomes calmer, more deliberate. The Stoics often spoke of a more fatty love of fate. It means embracing whatever happens, not with bitterness, but with openness and even appreciation. This doesn't mean you have to enjoy suffering, but it does mean you see value in everything, even the hard stuff. When you learn to accept and embrace change, you become more resilient. You stop fearing the unknown and start trusting your ability to adapt. And in that trust, you discover a powerful truth. Peace isn't found in resisting change, it's found in moving with it. 5. Differentiate between opinion and fact. Every day, we're flooded with information, news headlines, social media posts, unsolicited advice, and our own racing thoughts. It's easy to get overwhelmed and react emotionally, especially when something feels unfair, offensive, or threatening. But one of the most powerful lessons from Stoic philosophy is learning to distinguish between what is actually happening and what you're telling yourself about it. In other words, separate fact from opinion. A fact is objective. It's something that simply is. An opinion is your personal judgment, shaped by past experiences, beliefs, and emotions. The problem is, we often confuse the two. Someone cancels plans, and we think, they don't care about me. Someone gives us feedback, and we hear, I'm not good enough. But those interpretations aren't facts, they're just stories we tell ourselves. Learning to make this distinction gives you tremendous freedom. It allows you to step back and ask, is this really true, or is this just how I feel right now? This one question can break the cycle of stress and impulsive reactions. Instead of spiraling into anger or sadness, you create space to respond with clarity and calm. Mindfulness can help strengthen this skill. By becoming more aware of your thoughts as they arise, you begin to notice patterns. Which ones are rooted in reality, and which ones are fueled by emotion or assumption. You don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. In fact, most of them are just mental noise. This principle also applies to how we handle criticism or outside opinions. In today's hyper-connected world, everyone has something to say, but that doesn't make it true or worth internalizing. People speak from their own perspectives, not from objective truth. Learning to filter what really matters protects your peace and helps you stay grounded. When you practice separating opinion from fact, you start to live more intentionally. You become less reactive and more thoughtful. You're no longer a prisoner to every fleeting feeling or comment. Instead, you gain control over your internal world, your reactions, your self-talk, your emotional stability. And in that clarity, there's strength. Because when you can see the world as it truly is, not clouded by judgment, you can move through it with wisdom, confidence, and inner calm. 6. Practice detachment. In a world that constantly tells us to hold on, to success, to relationships, to status, to possessions, Stoic wisdom reminds us of the opposite: learn to let go. Practicing detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop tying your peace of mind to things you can't control. It's the art of being fully engaged in life without becoming emotionally dependent on the outcome. We all form attachments, sometimes without realizing it. We get attached to a job title, a relationship, a specific plan, or even how we want people to see us. These attachments can bring comfort, but they also create vulnerability. When things shift, and they always do, we find ourselves anxious, hurt, or disappointed. Detachment is about freeing yourself from this emotional roller coaster. When you practice detachment, you still love, work hard, and dream big, but with a sense of internal balance. You give your best effort, but you don't collapse if things don't go your way. You enjoy success, but you're not defined by it. You care for others, but you don't rely on them for your sense of worth. Start by asking yourself, what am I clinging to right now? What outcome am I overly invested in? Recognizing these patterns is the first step to loosening their grip. Mindfulness helps here. When you're present in the moment, you're less likely to obsess over what's next or what could go wrong. Another powerful practice is embracing impermanence. Everything in life is temporary: your job, your health, your possessions, even your emotions. This isn't meant to scare you, but to remind you to appreciate what you have without fearing its loss. When you stop demanding permanence from an impermanent world, you suffer less and appreciate more. In relationships, detachment means allowing others to be who they are, without trying to control or fix them. It means loving with freedom, not fear. In your goals, it means staying committed to the process, not just the result. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It creates space between you and your circumstances, allowing you to act with wisdom instead of reaction. And when you live with that inner freedom, you become unshakable, able to face both joy and loss with the same steady heart. 7. Maintain a moral compass. In a world where values often shift with trends and social approval, having a strong moral compass is more important than ever. It's easy to get lost in the noise, chasing success, fitting in, or making decisions based on convenience instead of principle. But the Stoics believe that a virtuous life, guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is the key to lasting peace and integrity. Your moral compass is the internal guide that keeps you aligned with what matters most. It helps you navigate difficult decisions, resist temptation, and stay grounded when life throws challenges your way. Without it, it's all too easy to be swayed by pressure, fear, or ego. With it, you act with clarity and confidence, even when the path isn't easy. Start by identifying your core values. What do you stand for? What qualities do you admire in others? Honesty, kindness, fairness, discipline. Once you're clear on what matters to you, use those values as your decision-making filter. When faced with a choice, ask yourself, does this align with who I want to be? Living by your values doesn't mean you'll be perfect. In fact, the Stoics encouraged self-reflection and humility. You will make mistakes. You'll stumble. But what matters is your willingness to learn, to take responsibility, and to course-correct when needed. That process builds true character. One powerful tool is regular reflection. Take time each day, or even just once a week, to think about your actions. Were you honest? Did you act with courage? Were you fair and respectful, even when no one was watching? Journaling or quiet contemplation can help keep your moral compass sharp and steady. Surrounding yourself with people who share your values can also help. These are the friends, mentors, or partners who hold you accountable, challenge you to grow, and support you in living authentically. Their presence reinforces your commitment to a principled life. At the end of the day, living with a moral compass isn't about judgment or self-righteousness, it's about inner alignment. It's about knowing that your actions reflect your deepest truths. And in that alignment, you find strength, purpose, and a sense of peace that no external success can replace. 8. Foster self-discipline. In a world full of instant gratification and endless distractions, self-discipline has become a rare but essential strength. Whether it's the temptation to scroll endlessly on your phone, skip the gym, or give in to short-term pleasure over long-term goals, we all face moments where discipline is tested. The Stoics believe that mastering yourself, your thoughts, habits, and actions, is one of the highest forms of power. Self-discipline isn't about being rigid or harsh with yourself. It's about creating structure, consistency, and commitment to the things that truly matter. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. And over time, it's this discipline, not motivation, that builds success, resilience, and self-respect. Start by setting clear goals. What do you want to achieve, and why does it matter? Once you define your purpose, break it down into manageable steps and create daily routines that support it. Whether it's waking up earlier, eating healthier, dedicating time to your craft, or limiting distractions, consistency is key. But discipline isn't just about external habits, it begins in the mind. Practicing mindfulness helps you become aware of your impulses before you act on them. In moments of temptation, pause and ask yourself, will this choice serve my future self, or just satisfy me right now? That single moment of reflection can shift your entire day. Creating an environment that supports discipline also makes a huge difference. Remove temptations. Organize your space. Build systems that make good habits easier and bad habits harder. If you're trying to write more, set up a quiet space. If you want to eat better, keep healthy foods within reach. And when you slip up, and you will, be compassionate with yourself. Self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Learn from your setbacks and recommit without guilt. Celebrate your small wins along the way. Because each one builds momentum and confidence. In the end, self-discipline is a form of self-respect. It's saying, I care enough about my life and my goals to follow through. The Stoics knew that freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you feel like, it comes from rising above fleeting urges and building a life you can be proud of. 9. Reflect on mortality. We often live as though we have all the time in the world. Days pass, routines repeat. And we tell ourselves there will always be another chance, another tomorrow to fix what's broken, to say what we meant, to pursue what we truly want. But the Stoics taught a sobering and powerful truth: our time is limited. Reflecting on mortality, memento mori, isn't meant to make you fearful. It's meant to wake you up. When you truly acknowledge that life is finite, something shifts. Suddenly, small frustrations don't seem worth the energy. You become more intentional with your time. More present in your relationships, and more focused on what truly matters. Death, in this context, isn't a grim thought, it's a compass that points you toward a more meaningful life. Ask yourself, if today were your last day, how would you live it? What conversations would you have? What regrets would you avoid? These aren't just philosophical questions, they're practical tools for aligning your daily actions with your deepest values. They remind you that your life is unfolding now, not someday. Reflecting on mortality also helps put things into perspective. The deadline you're stressed about, the argument that ruined your mood. The worry about what others think, these often fade in importance when seen against the backdrop of life's impermanence. That clarity can bring a deep sense of peace and purpose. This awareness isn't about obsessing over death. It's about honoring life. It's choosing to make the most of each moment, not out of pressure, but from appreciation. You start to value time differently, spending it more wisely, being more present, and letting go of what doesn't serve you. You can make this reflection a habit through journaling, meditation, or simply quiet thought at the end of your day. Review how you spent your time. Did it reflect what truly matters to you? Were you kind, brave, honest, grateful? Were you alive, really alive? The Stoics didn't reflect on death to be morbid, they did it to live better. Because when you accept that nothing is guaranteed, everything becomes more precious. And in that realization, you discover a deeper gratitude, a bolder courage, and a powerful sense of urgency to live with meaning, today, not later. 10. Seek wisdom through continuous learning. In a world that never stops changing, one of the most valuable habits you can develop is a commitment to lifelong learning. The Stoics believed that the pursuit of wisdom wasn't just a luxury, it was a necessity. To grow as a person, to make better choices, and to live a life of purpose, you must be willing to evolve. And evolution begins with learning. Learning isn't just about gaining knowledge, it's about deepening understanding. It's about becoming more self-aware, seeing the world more clearly, and sharpening your ability to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. When you commit to learning, you build the mental agility needed to handle life's challenges with insight and resilience. Start by cultivating a curious mindset. Ask questions. Read widely, from philosophy and psychology to biographies and science. Seek out conversations that challenge your views rather than reinforce them. The more perspectives you explore, the more nuanced your thinking becomes. But wisdom isn't only found in books or lectures. It's also gained through reflection. Take time to think about your experiences, what worked, what didn't. What did you learn about yourself in the process? Journaling or quiet contemplation can help you process events and extract meaningful lessons from everyday life. Another powerful form of learning comes from mentorship and relationships. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who live with integrity, and who can offer honest feedback. Be just as willing to listen as you are to speak. True learning often begins when ego steps aside. Equally important is emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage your own emotions. And to empathize with others. Developing this kind of wisdom helps you navigate not just tasks and goals, but people and purpose. Mindfulness, active listening, and self-reflection are powerful tools for this kind of growth. And remember, learning is not a race or a competition. It's a journey of becoming, not perfect, but wiser, more grounded, and more capable. The Stoics didn't strive to know everything, they strived to live better, to think clearly, and to act with virtue. By seeking wisdom every day, in every experience, you're building a life that's not just successful, but meaningful. You become a student of life itself, and in that humility and curiosity, you unlock the greatest kind of strength.